You got it. Hello. Welcome back to another edition of our Talk It Out session presented by VERB. We are your hosts, Aaron Tate, Adrian Poe. We also have our lovely wives joining us today, Monique Tate, Swanee Poe. Say hello to the people, guys. We're going to wave hi to our future selves, by the way. All right, so we do apologize that we haven't been able to catch... Oh, well, yeah, that's them. Our beautiful wives. So we do apologize. We haven't been able to catch you guys the past few weekends, due to extenuating circumstances. We do usually do these on Saturdays, but again, extenuating circumstances. So we're trying to squeeze one in today. So thank you guys for joining us on today. Today's topic is going to be You Made Me. You made me. Would you like to explain?
So, this topic is one of those things that we hear all the time, and we want to expound upon it because we don't feel like a lot of people really understand how much weight the statement, you made me, and whatever verbiage you put after that statement, I don't feel like, or we don't feel like collectively, a lot of people rationalize how powerful your next words are. So, like we usually do, we have about 5 to 6 questions that's going to lead us off into different rabbit holes to bring about a certain perspective or some logic to the statement, you made me such and such. Shall we begin?
We shall. Now, while we're asking our questions and discussing them, please make sure you're commenting and asking any questions that you want. We want your feedback as well to know what you think and to try and understand everybody's perspective. So, but we're going to go ahead and get started with the first question.
So wait, before we get started, I wanted to ask our women a question because a lot of times we start off with a very strong, logical perspective, and then we spend the rest of the time in the video trying to unravel where it came from and all of that. So I actually want to start from a raw perspective so they don't even know what I'm about to ask them. So I'm going to ask Monique first since she has the mic in her hand. Have you ever used the statement, well, you made me, and put words after that statement?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Can you think of a time where you said, you made me, and then words?
Yes, I
Okay.
can.
Can you give me one of those statements? I don't need to know the situation. Just give me the sentence. You made me, and give me your words.
So, you made me throw my phone.
Okay. Keep that right there. Wonderful. Could you pass the mic to Baby Swan? Baby Swan, can you think of a time, and remember, I live with you, can you think of a time where you use the statement, well, you made me, words?
Yes.
Okay, can you give me that sentence? I don't need the backstory, I just need the sentence.
You made me mad.
Oh! Thank you.
Oh my God.
So, before we start to unpack that, I want you all as well that's watching to think of a time where you use the statement, you made me, and then words. So we're going to give you a chance to think about a time because you're going to need that thought process throughout the entire video. So we'll give you a minute to think about you made me statement.
Can you see if we have any comments?
Hold on, sir.
Make sure you scroll up. Yeah, there you go. Oh, that's it. Okay.
Now, while y'all are thinking, I want to also say this. I used to think like that. I used to use the statement, well, such and such made me do it, or you made me mad. So, I've been there. Have you ever used the statement, well, such and such made me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're not coming from a perspective as if we've just been at this logical standpoint the entire duration of our life, but we want to offer a different way of seeing it to give you some control back because, well, we'll get into that in a minute. So now we can start with the questions.
All right. So the first question, Is it okay to blame others for how you react or respond to something they did? Is it okay to blame others for how you react or respond to something they did?
Okay, so Monique, we're going to use, you said you made me throw my phone. So the question is it okay to blame others for the way that you respond or react to something they did? So use that statement of throwing your phone. You said, well, you made me throw my phone. Is that okay? If you feel like it was justified, then say so. I'm not giving you a yes or no. I want to know your honest answer. Do you feel like based on whatever the action was, according to whatever the person did to you, when you threw your phone, did you feel justified by saying, well, you made me do it?
Yeah.
Felt good, didn't it?
It did.
Okay, so whenever the person made you mad, which I'm pretty sure it was me, whenever I made you mad, whenever you got mad and then had to use you made me mad, did you feel good after saying you made me do it? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, can we agree that made me is control?
Yes.
So, Monique, at that point, whoever initiated your decision to throw your phone had control over you. Is that what you're admitting?
Yeah.
Whoever initiated your decision to get mad had complete control over you.
Yes.
Okay. Is that something you can live with, though?
No.
No.
But why not? Because you just said you felt good by being able to say you made me do it. And you were like, yeah, it felt wonderful. So we have a problem here then. So you don't like the fact that that person had complete control over you, but you like how it made you feel by being able to say that. We got a problem. See the problem? Mm-hmm. What's the problem?
So
Let her get the mic. What's the problem with this?
Before you answer, let's read the comment real quick.
Okay.
Okay, so Wendy Darlin said, never okay to blame others. We are always responsible for our actions. Taking responsibility is important and vital to being better as an individual.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Thank you for that, Wendy.
For me, the reason it's not okay is because it's just like when we used to have sex in the world. Like, it was good for the moment, but then you felt bad after. And so, like, I can place blame on you, and it feels good then, but, like, at the end of the day, I chose to make that decision. So if it come up again, I either give you that control again to blame you, or learn that last time it didn't make me feel good after I realized it was my fault in the beginning. So just choose not to do it. So for me, no, it doesn't feel good afterwards because I know it was something I could do to avoid getting mad.
Okay. So, Monique, what's the problem with feeling good by justifying it with the statement, but you don't like admitting that someone had complete control over your full body function? Like, they legit had control over your ligaments in your body, and you slung a $100 phone against a wall. Like, that's scary.
Yeah.
Like, that level of control is scary. Mm-hmm. Do you see a problem with that?
Yes.
Do you know what could change that whole scene? So I want you to think back now to how you felt right before you said, you made me throw my phone. I want you to channel that energy. I want you to channel that energy of, you made me mad. Y'all got that moment? Okay, so I want you to say this. Say, I decided to throw my phone against a wall. Come on, give me that.
I decided to throw my phone against the wall.
Say, I decided to get mad.
I decided to get mad.
How does that feel?
Taking back that control, huh?
It feel kind of funny, don't it? Like who says in the middle of an argument, I decided to throw my phone against the wall? Okay. Who says in the middle of an argument, well, I decided to get mad? It sounds funny, don't it?
Yeah.
But that's true, though. That's the statement that needs to be made, because at that point, you have control. Even in the midst of your emotional bliss, you have control of the situation. But the moment that you say, you made me such and such, you give all of your body functions to someone else. And that's dangerous. Mm-hmm. See the difference? And the fact that it sounds funny in a conversation lets us know that the world has perpetuated the idea that someone else can make you do something.
You hit it on the head.
I don't know when I came to the realization, but it's so powering, like inner powering, when I started realizing that all I got to do is say, I made such and such, or I decided to do such and such. Because one thing that it does, sometimes it prevents me, or it stops me from even saying it, or it stops me from even doing it. Like right before you threw your phone against the wall, if you would have thought about, I'm finna decide to throw my phone against this wall, would you have thrown that phone against that wall? No. You know you wouldn't have threw that phone against that wall. If you, right before you got mad and lashed out or whatever you may have done, if you'd have been like, I'm finna decide to get mad, you wouldn't have did it, would you? Because it sounds crazy. Yeah. And the fact that voicing your own control sounding crazy lets us know how far we've gotten from taking responsibility for our actions. Like the fact that it sounds crazy to say, I'm finna throw my phone against this wall. Like that's beyond us. Because it sounds much better to say, well, you made me throw this phone. Like it's so wild that we're comfortable with passing that much power to other people. Like, that blows my mind.
You got a couple comments?
No.
No comments. All right. So that leads us to the next question then. So what if said person did something that they knew would trigger a specific response or reaction? What if said person did something that they knew would trigger a specific response or reaction?
Could you then justify it with, you made me? So what he's asking is, say someone knows a trigger for you, because we all have triggers. Mm-hmm. And if that person knows the trigger and you know that they know the trigger and they do it, can you then be justified with, well, because they know this would trigger me, I can now say you made me? Do you think that that's a good standpoint to take?
No.
Why not?
Because, I mean, you still give... Oh. I feel like even if they know the trigger point and still do it knowing that I know that you know, I still feel like the answer is no, because I still have the decision to react on what you're doing. Mm-hmm. So that's the point of deciding to grow in that moment or keep giving you that control to make myself feel good in retaliation.
Exactly. So the thing is, we have to get to the point to where we understand that regardless of what the outside action is, our decision still trumps that action. So even if, just say, you know, my trigger is, I don't like my feet getting wet. And say you come in the house and like pour water on my feet. I can't use you made me as a justification point, because there's still a decision that I have to make. And the fact that we've got to the point to where I hide behind you made me so that I feel good about my next actions just shows our irresponsibility, our lack of accountability. Like, it's so bad. I can just think back now on just me personally, how many times I did something and legit the only reason that I did it is because of what someone else did. Like, I justified it with, oh, well, they did it, so I'm finna do it. And that's what children do. Like, children do a tit for tat.
Now, I agree with you on that. I will say, though, your example with pouring water, that's the contact being made. So anybody can easily react to that because you did something physically to them. Now, if it's words, if they say something like, you know, I hope you die, or like words, like you can easily just brush that off because it's like, it's just words. But if you touch me, that's something different. Like, I don't know how I react to that.
Ooh, I'm glad you brought that up.
So hold on. So I don't think what he's saying is don't react. What he's saying is be accountable for your reaction. Like, don't blame your reaction on someone else. And we're not saying don't, like, if someone punch you in the face, we're not saying don't punch it back. But just own the fact that you decided to punch him in the face.
Right.
Okay, I get that.
But yeah, by no means am I not saying don't react. What I'm saying is we shouldn't never respond if someone asks you, why did you do that? The statement should never start with you made me or such and such made me. Like, it should that should have never even been in our responsive statements for our actions. Because at no point is it okay to justify something that your body did based on something someone else did. Because we could all agree there are people who get things done to them all the time and they don't react at all. And we'd be like, I don't know how you do that. Or we say stuff like, oh, that couldn't have been me. Yeah, the reason that it could have been you, because you don't have no control. But we make them feel bad when we say stuff like, oh, that couldn't have been me, as if that's something to brag about. Like, they have accomplished the level of control that you're not currently at. But we say stuff like, it couldn't have been me, trying to make them feel bad about not being responsive or immaturely responsive as you would have been. That's wild to me.
You got a comment?
Yes. Wendy again says, if someone plays on my triggers, I must reposition my thoughts, my actions, and or remove myself from the unhealthy relationship if all possible. Bottom line, it's up to me to figure it out and to respond accordingly and effectively.
See, and that's one thing I never got. Because I think what made me come to this realization is, so full disclosure, the statement you made me throw my phone was about me, right? So someone tried to justify her action by saying, well, you made her mad enough to do that. But it's like, people don't realize they have to reevaluate, or at least like take a look in the mirror and say, well, why does this particular thing make me mad? Like, why is this a trigger for me? And then also ask yourself, do I want this to continue to be a trigger? Like, if we're okay with things being a trigger or things getting us to a point outside of what we're comfortable with, then that's a problem. 'Cause it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's an important question people need to ask themselves. Like, what is it that makes me mad? Why does it make me mad? And am I okay with this continuing to be something that makes me mad? And if the answer to those questions, or that last question at least, is no, then at that point now it's time to get to a point where you are now okay with whatever it is that previously made you upset in the first place. That way, that can no longer be a trigger that someone can play on for you.
So I want to offer this. I don't even like to hear that made you. Like, let's turn that into whatever it is that you decided to get mad about. Because when you say made, as long as we're continuing to include MADE in it, it still gives me something to hide behind. Like, I don't like that shield of made. Like, let's throw that away. Mm-hmm. Like, anytime there's a situation that causes you to react in any emotion, whether it's joy, anger, sadness, grief, whatever it is, let's say I decided to get angry. Don't say, oh, that made me angry, or oh, nothing else should be used outside of I decided to get angry, or I decided to get mad, or I feel like that statement alone would change a lot of the actions that we have, because no one else is standing in front of this thing but me. And like he said, if you get to the point to where you decide, well, dang, every time such and such does this, I'm angry, you have to now realize, well, dang, it ain't every time such and such does this, I'm angry. It's every time such and such does this, I decide to get angry. That opens the door for, well, why do I allow this to give me something to decide to get angry about? Because at the end of the day, it may be something that has nothing to do with you. Like a lot of the stuff I can think back on that I used to be so angry and depressed and stressed and sad about, I had absolutely no control over that at all. So I'm like sitting around the house just trying to figure other people out and like trying to just put all of my energy into these people. And I, at the time, decided to let that get me like that. But when I realized that, dang, well, why does this, or why am I deciding to let this change my mood or fluctuate my emotions? And it really don't got nothing to do with me. Like, it's well beyond my control. Because at the end of the day, we can't control people. Right. So when someone does something, I feel like a part of the decision to get angry comes from a sense of wanting to control. And I'll ask you this. In the event that you threw your phone, was it a situation that the other person did that you wanted them to do something else? Like whatever he said or did, instead of doing that, you wanted him to respond or react differently, right?
Right.
But do you control him though? Like at any point in life, can you puppeteerily control this man?
No.
So what was the point though? Like what was the point at the end of the day? With you? Whenever you decided to get mad, was it based on an action that I did or an action that you would have had me to do opposite of what I did? Mm-hmm. And once I did that, since you didn't have control to make me do what you wanted me to do, the only thing you had left was a decision of anger, right? And then you wanted to blame me because I didn't do the initial thing. We got to come up off that.
Yeah.
I would say the reason in the sense that I'm thinking of was simply because I knew I was right, which I was, but it took like months later for it to come up again. You'd be like, oh, you sure did say that. And it's like, bro, let me wring your head. But I get it because, no, I can't control you. But I decided to get mad because you wouldn't listen to the situation. But I was glad it came up again. But I wanted to comment off of what Ms. Wendy said about the repositioning yourself and like removing yourself, because I had that particular situation going on, and the person that would deliberately trigger my areas, I found myself hating that person.
Let's change the dialect. The person who were doing actions that I was deciding to use as triggers.
Okay.
So the person was doing things and you were deciding to use those as a reason to get mad. Because you're still saying it as if, oh, they were doing things that they know I would get mad about. We got to change the dialect.
Or dislike. Like if I tell you, okay, if you ask me what I want for dinner and I say anything but onions, I hate onions, and you literally just bring in a bag of onions, knowing that I haven't eaten, that would upset me. Like, clearly that would upset me.
I would get mad at that.
I would get mad with, I mean, that's the same thing. I didn't say you made me mad. I said I would get upset.
No, it's not the same thing. That would upset me, and I would get mad is totally different. Let me explain how. That would upset me gives an object the control to turn your switch on of anger. That would upset me, meaning whatever the onion coming in the house, flip your anger switch. Is that logical for you? So an onion that can't walk, can't talk, coming in the house, flip your anger switch. That makes no sense. But if you say, I decided to get mad, that's all you.
I can see that working if we didn't even have a conversation about what I wanted for dinner, and then you walk in with a bag of onions. Me saying I got upset, but that would be me getting upset at the onions because I hadn't had a conversation with you, and you walk in with onions and I'm mad to see the onions, so now I'm upset with the onions. I get that. But if I've deliberately told you what I wanted after you asked me and then you walk in, now I'm upset with you because you asked me and I told you, and then you still did the opposite of what I did. So if you were going to do that, then why did you even ask me in the first place?
So that leads into the next question. When is someone ever responsible for how others react to something they did?
Wait, so before we answer that, can we...
Go ahead.
Okay. All right, so Latoya Marie Wallace said...
What, Toya? Okay.
Hey!
She said, so if I say it couldn't have been me, that's actually my way of saying your self-control is stronger than mine, because I know depending the situation, I might respond differently.
Cool.
Wendy said, self-evaluation. Latoya also said, so anger is no longer an emotion.
So let me comment on the first thing. The very first thing you said is a very mature explanation to the statement, it could have been me. And you're correct. Most people use that it could have been me as a guise to try to be like, oh, you should have responded differently. But the way you put it, that's a very mature way to put that, and I agree with that. But with the anger situation, anger is an emotion. And I don't want you all to confuse what I'm saying with don't display it. What I'm really trying to relay is take full responsibility for your decision to pick that emotion and then your reaction because of the emotion. I'm well aware that anger exists, sadness exists, happiness, and all other emotions, they do exist. What I want us to stray away from is blaming anything outside of ourselves for the decision to pick that one and the reaction that we have to it, because it's the thing. The same emotion that's available when anger is there, all of the other emotions are available as well. We just decided to pick that one. So when we make statements like, oh, it couldn't have been me, like you stated, it's because you know that you would have reacted differently, which proves that one thing that makes someone mad, or one thing that someone decides to get mad at, someone else can decide that brings me joy. So I want us to get away from acting as if when situations come up, it's only one emotion available. So, and we're going to pick that one and blame someone else for it.
I think, so let me offer, so I think this is the problem. People assume that emotions are autonomous. And the word autonomous means acting independently.
Thank you.
So
yeah, they do.
People assume that we don't have control over these emotions, that our emotions are its own being that comes and goes whenever it pleases.
Yes.
So if people understand that, okay, I have a set of emotions that I decide when I want to use and display those emotions at any given time. But instead, we have the mindset that I have these set of emotions, and at any point, they can decide to come out without me even knowing. So,
they say stuff like, oh, I blacked out.
So, I mean, people really do black out.
They be just ready to wring a neck, man. They've been plotting this for weeks, man.
So yeah, I think that's why it's so hard for people to have accountability or responsibility over their actions or over their emotions, because they don't correlate control over their emotions. So until we can get in that mindset that I can decide when I want to be happy, I can decide when I want to be angry, I can decide when I want to be sad, they're always going to have that struggle with, letting someone else having control over what triggers a certain emotion.
And I believe that answers all of these questions. Like, we don't believe that we can control emotions. Like we do. We do legit feel like emotions just like it may wave over you one day and it just come on back. Like it's like it's too freelance. Like we have them as if, like you said, like they have their own little life, and we just sit there and wait on one to walk in. It's like we don't know what's gonna come in, and whichever one comes through the door, oh, I guess I'll use that one. Mm-hmm. We gotta come up off that.
Yeah. Shay says, "Hey." Latoya also said, "I wish I wasn't in Walmart so I can join the video."
She commented again. She said, but how can you not acknowledge that emotion if something was done to cause that effect in your emotions? What should you do?
Okay, so
Wait, say that again.
But how can you not acknowledge that emotion if something was done to cause that effect in your emotions? What should you do? I think she's meaning anger.
yeah, so I think by no means am I negating the existence or the reaction based on emotions. What I'm trying to relay, or what we're trying to relay, is be fully responsible and accountable for, one, the emotion you select, two, the reaction based on the emotion you select. If you are fulfilling those two, you can do what you want to do. We'll use this for an example. Say you're in an argument with someone. Someone says something or physically does something. I want you to first acknowledge the fact that, okay, what I'm feeling is anger because I've selected to feel this anger based on what you're doing. Number two, I'm finna punch you in the face, not because you made me, but because this is what I'm deciding to do. That is all I'm saying. If you can fulfill those two requirements, we good. You can stab, shoot, kill. I'm not condoning it, but you can do whatever you want to do.
As long as you
As
acknowledge
long as
that
you
you stabbed,
acknowledge
shot,
that
and
it's
killed these
you.
men.
Because what we run into is a lot of these domestic violence situations. Dudes say things like, well, she made me do it. She was talking and running off in the mouth. What? Or females busting out dude's car. Oh, he made me. He was running around with that other girl. That don't justify you just cause property damage to this dude's car. So as long as you fulfilling the two requirements of owning the decision and owning the reaction, all emotions are available. You can do whatever you want to do. I just don't want us to keep blaming someone else for the emotion we selected and the action that we did. That is all.
So would you say the statement "you made me" is a defense mechanism?
Yes, ma'am. Say that again. Put the mic a little closer.
So would you?
Look closer.
So would you say the statement "you made me" is a defense
Yes,
mechanism?
ma'am. The statement you made me is a defense mechanism to cover up accountability and responsibility. That is all.
Okay.
We should start saying, I decided. That's it. That's the only thing I want you to change. I'm not asking you to change your emotion or your reaction. I just want you to change the statement, I decided. Why did you do that? I decided to do that. Why did you burn the house down? I decided to burn the house down.
So I'm curious because that is a defense mechanism. However, if
Does what you're about to say go back to the question we asked earlier?
it's about like what he just finished saying.
Go ahead.
So if somebody breaks into our house and trying to kill my son, and I shoot him because that's my reaction to protect my child, but in some cases that's happened in different places. I don't even have to be in your home, but the person who was defending the child or the person ends up going to jail for self-defense. So is there no justice for, like, you make me do it? Like, clearly that person made me shoot them because you're trying to kill my child. You asked for that. So is that a thing of where I allow them to do it and I just walk away when they're finished killing my child, or do I step in and do something about it?
Hold
you're
on.
missing-
So someone actually went to jail for self-defense?
Yeah, a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people.
We'll deal with that later. It happens a lot.
Really?
We'll deal with
I'm
that
saying
later.
there's no justice.
No, but we'll deal with that later.
Okay.
So, I'm glad you brought that up. So let's walk through the scenario. Because I think you and a few other people are missing the inner part of what I'm saying. There's no such thing as you made me. Your response to someone breaking in the house is, I decided to shoot them. That's it. I'm not asking you not to shoot them. I'm not asking you not to defend yourself. All I'm asking is, when someone say, why did you do that? I decided to shoot them. The question would be followed up then, well, did they do something? Well, yeah, they broke in the house. But don't use they made me. Because at that point, you're giving someone control over you. That is all I'm asking. I'm not saying it shouldn't be no justice. I'm not saying don't unload the whole clip. By all means, don't stop pulling the trigger until the gun is empty. And even when it's empty, walk up to them and use the bottom of it on their forehead. But when the police pull up and say, ma'am, what happened? Your response is, I decided to shoot him. They're going to ask you follow-up questions, and that's when you can say, oh, well, he broke in the house. And then I decided to shoot him. Let's just do away with, you made me. That is, I just take that part out and put I decided at the top of that sentence. That is all I'm asking for. You taking away justice and all the other stuff, I ain't talking about all that. Keep all that. Remove you made me and put I decided. That is all.
So going back to the question though, so when is someone ever responsible for how others react to something they did? When is someone ever responsible for how others react to something they did?
Never.
Thank you. No one is ever responsible for your reaction because your reaction belongs to you. That's all we're saying.
Do you agree or disagree with that?
I know the problem that she's having because she thinks that we're removing the other person's responsibility or accountability for what they did. Right. But it's the thing, if we're using I decided, they also have to use that as well. So we're both going to be responsible for our decisions and then our reactions, and the playing field will be even. But if he's using, oh, well, I broke in your house because I was homeless and hungry. So you kill him then?
I mean, and then too, like the story about what is it, Brandon Bernard, the guy that was just executed because of a situation that happened back when he was 18, where he said the reason that he burned the vehicle of the people that was just killed was because the guy that shot the two in the head told him to do it. Like, that's either I do it or I die. So like, would that not be a situation of you made me do it?
Thank you. Right. Thank you for bringing that up. Remember I told y'all ready to get this one? Let's go.
And I know the scenario you're going to use.
Oh my goodness.
I love the Lord. So listen. Okay. So let me make sure I'm understanding what you're saying before I answer. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up because I was going to forget this one. So now that we've weaved through the everyday stuff like the mad and anger and all that, let's get all the way down to the bottom. Death. So are you basically saying that in a life or death situation, can we then say, well, because I didn't want to die, they made me? Is that basically what you're saying?
I know you know with this, but...
Yes or no? Yes. It's a yes or no. Could you give her the mic? I need them here to say yes.
Yes.
Okay, so she's basically saying that she can accept the everyday things. You know, little, who left the toilet seat up, whatever, right? But in the face of death, can we then justify our actions with, you made me? The answer is no. And let me explain how. It's something on your neck. Like, some people just want somebody to blame, son. Like, they don't care.
I'm just trying to understand.
Hey, damn.
She was bogus.
Why a whole gun to your head? Like,
I'm so
Are you
glad.
go to the end times with this one?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna be today. I'm really glad y'all brought that up. Okay. So, with a gun to your head, you're saying at that point, we can say, oh, they made me do it. You believe it in your heart. Say that in the mic real quick.
I believe that, yes.
You believe with a gun to your head,
yes.
You can use the statement, they made me.
Yep.
Before you go, what? Latoya said something else?
Yeah, she said you can get that feeling of anger, but it's up to you. It's up to that person to control it.
Correct.
And then LaTracy said, hey guys, how are y'all doing today?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good.
Tashima said, right. I don't know what that was for.
We should have been keeping up.
She also said, take responsibility for your own actions.
Correct.
And she also said, you did it because that was the way you chose to defend yourself.
Correct.
And that's it.
All right. Whew, so glad. Thank you, man, because I was going to forget this. All right. So, in the face of death, I just said that even then, we cannot use you made me. And I understand this is going to be a very, very hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
But you got to get it down. Give her some water. She got to get this down. You got to get this down. All right. The reason I fully believe that there's no such thing as you made me, everyone is wholly responsible for their decision and their actions, is because of this. About 2 or 3 years ago, there was a shooting in Oxford. I can't remember the name of the college, but college kids. This gunman walked in. You can look this up. This gunman walked in. He specifically said, I am here to kill the Christians. You can look it up on, it's legit. If you are not a Christian, you leave. But if you are, you don't move. There were 12 to 14 teenagers. These ain't no adults. These ain't no old saints. These are teenage kids. It was 12 to 14 of them that was still standing there in that classroom. Guess what happened to them? Yes.
They died.
Yeah, they died. He killed them. Because it's the thing. Those Christians understood, and this is not delegated specifically to Christians. You can be whatever and come to this realization. They understand, based on what we believe, that when I stand in front of Jesus Christ himself, and he asked me whatever the magical question is going to be, they understood that I'm not going to be able to say, oh, well, the reason that I denied you is because old dude with the gun made me. So even in the face of death, they didn't decide that someone else had control over them other than the God that they believed in, which have already told us, if you deny me before man, I'll deny you. So in the face of death, they could have easily been like, oh, Jesus, who? I'm a judge. You could never thought. And walked out. So if these teenage kids can not decide that someone else have control over them in the face of death itself and took them bullets, I ain't want to hear nothing from nobody. Because there's nothing else past death. And now they face death with the concept of, I'm living my life based on my decisions, and I decide this day with this gun to my head that I'm going to uphold my perspective and my character. You can't make me deny Jesus. You can't make me do nothing. I don't care if you do have death hanging over my head. You're not finna make what? And they dead to this very day. So I ain't trying to hear that. Like, I ain't trying to hear none of that. So throwing a phone up against a wall, I ain't trying to hear that. Being mad at some onions, I ain't trying to hear that. That's fine if you do that. But all I want you to do is remove you made me from and put I decided to do such and such. That is all I'm asking. Any last words? Yeah, Nate.
That wasn't my situation.
So do I still get the neck from death? Do we still get the neck?
No.
So now what? What you got?
Nothing.
You got nothing. Do you still believe that in the face of death, justifying it with you made me is still legit? So I get that they was finna kill him unless he burnt the car. But I don't want to hear that they made me, because he could have took that bullet and died. That's his choice. At the end of the day, he decided to get that gas, to get that lighter, and burn that car. And I know it's hard. This is a very, very matured understanding. So I ain't even acting like you gonna wake up tomorrow and be able to do this. What I'm saying is this is a goal that we as the world need to be achieving so that we can start taking accountability and responsibility for our actions, regardless of what that action is. Even in the face of death, you still decided to do that because that was your decision, regardless of the circumstances. That's all we asking.
Yeah. It's just about being free. Like it's about freeing yourself from any external control. Ultimately, we have to take back control over our own lives, over our own thoughts, our own actions, our own emotions. But as long as we continue to place that control in someone or something else's hands, we'll never be free. So
it's a lot. It's hard. I'm telling you, it's hard to get this down because it's a lot. And we let the situation overpower the decision. Now, I'm not saying he should have burnt the car. But at the end of the day, if he get in court, I want him to tell that judge, like, I burnt that car. I decided to burn that car. Now, if there's follow-up questions, the judge will be like, well, were there any circumstances that gave you the chance? Well, yeah, old dude said they won't kill me if they didn't, and then I decided to do it. That's all I'm asking. I just don't want us to keep using "you made me." Just take "you made me" from it.
Those people were already dead?
Who, the students or the people she talking about?
The people she talking about.
The guy that I'm talking about that actually burned the car, this happened like 20 years ago, but they just executed him on the 10th of December.
But before he burnt the car, were the people already dead?
Well, the guy was, so the original shooter shot the husband and the wife in the back of the trunk. And the autopsy said that the husband died from the gunshot wound, but the wife died from smoke inhalation.
Oh, shoot.
He killed some people.
He killed her. But listen, my thing is, I'll say, we understand these things, like, given in this situation, right? But it's like when it's time to come to those situations, I feel like at some point we don't fall through with it. Like, we know we're not supposed to be texting and driving or making videos and driving, but we'll still do it. We decide to do these things, right? Mm-hmm. And like with our son, okay, clearly if somebody got Noah at gunpoint and say, you either had sex with me or I'm going to kill your son. Okay, clearly my son is a 3-year-old, so if you kill him, I know he's going to heaven, he's going to be taken care of. But at the same time, I don't want my son to die like that. So I may give in and allow him to rape me, or I may let him rape me and get the gun and then shoot him. Because even though I know at the time that's the decision I'm making because I want my son to live, but at the same time, like, that's going to go out the window.
I see the problem.
And I hope I'm making sense.
No. You are. And you really just helped me understand the problem. The problem is you and a lot of other people who are finding this hard to digest, y'all consider a bad scenario not a decision. So in the event that someone has Noah at gunpoint and they say either you have sex with me or I'm going to kill your son, you see that as I have no other choice. This the thing.
That is my other choice.
Hold on. No. Wait. Stop. Listen. Hold on. You see it as I have no other choice, right? Unfortunately, you're wrong. You have a choice. Hold it. Get out your feelings.
She trying to hear that.
Hold on, wait.
No.
No, wait. You have a choice. You can decide to give him my vagina, or you can decide to allow him to take Noah's life. Are both of these options? Yes or no?
That.
Yes or no? So you have a choice.
Yes.
And you gonna decide to give him my vagina, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not asking you to not do it. All I'm asking you is, I want you to be able to say, I decided to
pop that pussy, son. Yo.
That's all I'm asking.
I decided, yo.
All I'm asking is you to say, I decided.
Oh my God.
It's yours, yo.
Aaron.
Do what you gotta do, son. Do what you gotta do, yo.
Okay, either way, at this point, it's still rape because if he clearly knows that he has to put
We
my listen,
all that's
hold
true.
on.
We know all that.
Hold on. If he has to put my son up for ransom at his life's sake because I decided not to have sex with him in the first place, no means no. So anything outside of that is rape. So what's the difference in him pulling the trigger on my son or deliberately holding me at gunpoint and holding me down? It's the same thing. So either way, it's still rape.
We never said it wasn't.
My boy said I'm just basically
Hold on. Initially you said no, right? So it'd be different if having sex with him was the only option and you said no. And then he decided to go anyway and he raped you, right? But then when he presented another option in addition to that, now he's like, okay, well, you have to choose between these two things. And you chose to give him the vagina. So at that point, you're no longer saying no to it. So just because you don't want it doesn't make it rape.
It's not your decision. Hold on. Wait.
I think someone's asking to be in.
Who is it?
Melvin Walker.
PJ, join me.
He also had a comment up here. It said, everyone's mind is not the same. I believe in traumatic situations, a person can lose all rationality, reasoning, and judgment and really be controlled by another individual.
No, they're being controlled by their emotions.
They're using the situation to hide behind the fact that at the end of the day, it's still your decision. I'm not saying don't save your son or don't save our son. I'm not saying don't. What we're saying is whenever you calm down, I just need you to be able to realize that I decided. That is all. You can still do whatever the action you was going to do, whether it was throwing the phone up against the wall, whether it was popping it for pimp, whatever it is, you can do it. But at the end of the day, I need you to be able to say, I decided to do that.
That's all.
That's all. I know the circumstances is hard. I know you had two very difficult choices. But I just want you to know you decided. You took one.
I got a question.
He's already in.
Hold on.
I got a question.
For you. So, okay, at this point, you're now saying I decided to have sex with someone to save our son is a decision, right? So if there was no gun, okay, and how would it turn out? Be after everything boils over, I have sex with him, me and Noah goes free, and I tell you about it. How do you look at me as a person, as your wife? I mean, I'm like, how after I tell you the situation.
What do you mean? How do I look at you? That doesn't change anything.
Okay, you'll still love me. You'll still whatever.
Yes.
So now, if I say, Nick, I decided to have sex with somebody random, like there was no Noah at gunpoint or nothing. I just decided to go out and have sex with somebody just because I wanted to do it. How would you feel then?
We're getting divorced.
Okay, so if you say I decided to do it to save Noah, it's really not this. It's a decision, but at the same time, it's still rape.
You're going somewhere else. Yes, it is. You did get raped. You did.
You said I'm deciding to pop some pimp.
Listen. You're mixing stuff. Okay, if you decide to go have sex outside of any other option, that outcome would be different than if you had two hard circumstantial decisions, whether Noah's dying or you save him. The outcome is going to be different. But at the end of the day, all I'm saying is, regardless of the circumstance or regardless of the outcome, regardless of whatever people may think, at the end of the day, if you have two choices, anytime you have two choices or any choice other than one, you have to take responsibility for picking one.
So I think another thing.
You just gonna ignore
I
him.
know.
We just gonna ignore him.
Before you go, real quick. So I think I know why this is. There's another reason why it's so different. You think that the decision to allow Noah to die weighs a lot heavier than the decision to pop the vagina.
Look, it bothered her because she have two heavy emotion decisions, and she's already predicting the response. All I'm asking you to do is see both of them as options and just take ownership for the one you pick. I'm not saying you wanted it. I'm just saying you picked one.
When you say happiness to pimp, that means like
You let your mind do that stuff. Hold on. Let him turn in.
Are y'all listening to me now?
Yeah, we're ready.
All right. Okay. Since, you know, all of us is born, that's when learning commence, right?
Uh-huh.
From the time you're born, learning, you commence to start learning. You wouldn't know something was hot unless somebody told you it was hot, right?
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So, say you and your son, for instance. It was just you and your son with nobody else around him. He'll learn everything you taught him. Right.
Correct.
Okay. So if you teach your son, let's say you teach your son to grow up and be a killer or whatever. All he know is kill. He don't know the consequences because that's what you taught him. Right? So if he goes out there and kill, look,
I can't really agree.
But you said more than two choices though. You said more than two choices. I hear you. I already know what you're finna say. But some people, all they know is what they've been taught, and that's what they used to. You know what I'm saying? So they don't have the same mindset as another individual. Like, it's 32 desks in the classroom, right? And if I can't learn it the same way you learn it, the teacher wants to put me in special ed, right? Because they say I have a learning disability. Nah, my mind is different than the rest of these students' mind. So it's not that I have a learning disability, it's just our mindsets are different. So I would have to agree and disagree with the whole topic because I feel like in certain instances, people's mind with the psychology can really be influenced to make a irrational decision because the situation might be so traumatic that they lose all rationality, reasoning, and judgment. Everybody DNA ain't the same. People really have mental illnesses at the same time. So you really can influence someone whose mindset is different. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm getting at?
No,
I
completely.
You can make some, and they can have a choice, but you can also. I'm on like 85%, 90% say that you can really make someone do something. You can. I feel like
I see what you're saying, and that is what they have been doing the whole time as well. And I understand why what I'm saying is so hard because what we're saying is tied into years of emotions as well. So I'm not saying that someone else can't influence or offer certain actions that someone else does. The only thing that we're presenting is the person has to decide to do that. And I just want people outside of a mental ability. Now that circumstance is different because if someone is mentally disabled, like not just based on school systems, but like legitimately mentally disabled, then that's different. But we're talking about just what we would call normal common rationale.
I'm saying even people who think with logic. I'm saying even people who think with logic. You don't have to be mentally disabled. Let's say it's a house fire. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's in the house, but the house catches on fire. Everybody escapes from the house, right? But there's one individual left. It's one, like say you left the kid in the house. Everybody made out. You see that the kid ain't in the house. There's no thinking involved.
I have a question. I have a question for you.
That's why I feel like,
I have a question. All right. Say you're in a house fire and you make it out and you realize that your 1-year-old is downstairs. Your 2-year-old is upstairs. Now, you understand that based on the way this fire is spreading, from the top to the bottom, if you run upstairs, you and that 2-year-old is gonna die because all the flames is consumed upstairs, and the 2-year-old
I don't think
dead. But the fire has spread to the bottom. Which one of them children you gonna go in there and try to save first?
I don't think you understand at that time, at that point in time. I think all reasoning, all rationality, and all judgment don't exist in a situation like that.
I understand. Listen.
I don't think it exists. I don't think it exists. I think you just run. You just go.
And do you think that that's the smartest approach for that situation? To just run in there with no nothing? Like, do you think that's the smartest way to do it? Just run in the house and we'll figure it out when we get in there.
Me, myself, personally, I would think, but I've seen in real life, have seen situations where people run in the house and die with their kids because they didn't think.
Correct.
I believe, and you could be a good thinker, but in situations like that, I believe their rationality and judgment just go out the window sometimes.
So I got a question. So anybody, so let's say policemen, firefighters, people that deal in dangerous situations on a regular basis, those people have to be trained in order to handle dangerous situations.
And that's what we're trying to do now.
Right?
Right. They train.
So do you agree or disagree that maybe the average person may lose their rationality or their reasoning in a dangerous situation, but it is not impossible for them to be able to train their mind to keep all reasoning and rationale in spite of a dangerous situation?
That's what I was saying with your learning commences from the time you are born.
Right.
You're either trained. I know about the training part. You know what I'm saying?
That's what we're offering now.
Trained to do this, or you trained to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, they're trained to do that. What are people are creatures?
So I think what I'm getting at is, so I get what you're saying, that in the normal circumstances, reasoning or rationale just leave because we're not trained to keep that reasoning or rationale. We're trained to just do whatever our body do, or just go without even thinking. But we are offering that it is possible for us to now train ourselves to be reasonable and rational in those circumstances. Agree or disagree?
I agree with that.
Then that's all we're offering. That's what we're saying here. We're not saying that tomorrow everybody in the world are going to wake up.
You say you 100% agree with that?
But I just believe that individuals can be held accountable for your actions in certain instances. In certain instances, I feel like another individual can be held for your actions, because held responsible for your actions because of the influence that they impacted on you. Maybe like the DC sniper, right? Remember the DC sniper and his nephew. You know what I'm saying? He raised his nephew. He brought it. His nephew thought what he was doing was right. You know what I'm saying? By killing people. He thought what he was doing was right. And you can manipulate someone's mind into getting them to do.
So listen, I'm glad you brought that up. And you are correct. You are absolutely right. And that's the reason we're having this conversation, because if we can promote and help people understand that regardless of what other people are teaching you, you still have to be the one that decided, then that influence that causes these people to do these things, we can give that power back to the individual. So all that we're asking is, instead of continuing the ideal that someone else can have so much influence that they can convince you to kill all these people, at the end of the day, my young sir or my young man, you still decided to use the idea that they gave you, and you need to take ownership for that decision. If the idea that we're promoting had been what we learned from day one, things such as the DC sniper wouldn't exist. Because when that uncle or that auntie or whoever came presenting this, he would have stopped and said, well, let me see. I'm just not going to take what you said and run with it. I'm going to stop and think about the fact that I can decide to do this, but at the end of the day, it's still my decision.
Real quick.
Right. It's still your decision.
The DC sniper. You said he was taught to kill, right?
Right.
But at any point did he not take ownership over the fact that he was the one
pulling the trigger?
Did he take ownership?
Yeah, that like at any point did he not acknowledge the fact that he was the one pulling the trigger and not his dad or whoever was teaching him how to kill?
I really can't remember that far, but I do know that he was criminalized less than his uncle or his dad, whoever it was. You know what I'm saying? Because of his mind, because of.
I'm not negating the action. I just want individual ownership. I get what you're saying. What you're saying is legit. People can have great influence on other people. I completely agree with that. But what I want us to keep to is outside of whatever that influence is, that decision to pull the trigger, that was my finger. And I need to be responsible for that finger.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay. I'm saying like if you raise like them radical Islams, you know what I'm saying? Suicide bombers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They've been raised like this since birth. You know what I'm saying? This is what you do. You go and blow up. You go and blow up stuff. You die for your country. It's the right thing. This is how you go to heaven. You know what I'm saying? This is what they teach children. You know what I'm saying? So if you have that seed planted in your mind long enough, no matter what kind of seed it is, it's going to grow and manifest. And people can have that effect on other people. So that is really at the root is not your fault. It's the people's fault who planted that seed inside of you. I feel like people, all you know is all you know. You know what I'm saying? So how could you be held accountable for your actions when that seed has been planted inside you?
So I feel like it's a thin line in what we're trying to convey and what y'all are saying. I completely agree with everything that you're saying. I agree with everything that y'all are saying. What we're saying is, at the end of the day, regardless of the teaching, regardless of the upbringing, we just want people to take the ownership part of it. You are correct. The uncle is going to get a higher sentence because he planted that seed, he watered that seed, and he condoned it. All we're saying is, if you're on trial, regardless of what you was raised, you need to be able to say and admit within yourself, yes, my uncle taught me. Yes, he raised me up like this. But I, Adrian Poe, pulled that trigger. The uncle needs to get what he got coming, and I'm going to need mine too. We're not asking, or we're not saying that it don't exist. We just want
you was talking about the ownership.
From
just the ownership.
Just the ownership. You're right. But the uncle is responsible. Yeah. He's definitely responsible.
I feel like
I just had to add that. We just want ownership.
I just had to add that because I feel like it's two parts to what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? You gotta admit your ownership. If you basically what you're saying, if you make your bed, you gotta be able to lay down in it.
Yeah. That's
right.
all. That's
right.
All.
I know exactly what you're saying. But
it's your bed at the end of the day.
Yeah, you got to make your bed
at
the end of the day.
That's it. Now we're gonna deal with the other part. Today we're dealing with the trigger puller. Another video, we're gonna deal with those people who plant those seeds and those people who manipulate and they do things. We're gonna deal with that later. This video is specifically for the trigger puller.
Right.
And that's
you make your bed lay down in it.
That's all that's it. Yeah. You knew this man was hard when you started in this house, man.
I'm already knowing. I'm saying just, you know what I'm saying? You can't talk about the good without the bad, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
You know what I'm saying?
We on the same
one
page.
part,
We on the
explain
same
all
page, and you are correct. There are two sides, so we definitely have to do a part two for those people who manipulated, plant seeds, and do that type of influence. But today we only want to focus on, at the end of the day, if you put your finger on that trigger and pull it, you need to be held responsible for that part.
Yeah. Yeah, being held responsible for your actions.
Regardless of what the situation is, your finger the one pulling that trigger.
Yeah.
We on the same page. We on the same page.
I know we on the same page. We always on the same page, man. Like, some people like to go, like they just want to focus on one thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They want to focus on one thing. I just wanted to add that in there. Like, it is certain instances where people can cause a major influence on you to do
Correct.
the things you do.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want the people to get the wrong impression that, oh, this is 100% your fault. Because
No.
not.
I'm not. We don't want to make it seem like we're blaming. That's the perspective Swindle was coming from. Like, yeah, like, oh, you think I wanted to get raped? I didn't say you wanted to get raped. I did not say that. I know you don't want to get raped. But what I want you to be responsible for is you had two choices and you made one. That's all.
You made it.
You made the best choice you thought was available to you. Just be responsible for the one you made. I know you didn't want it to happen, but that's the one you made.
Yeah, you gotta be responsible for the choices and decisions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
We
that was a
really
good
appreciate
lesson,
you for coming in. We really appreciate you for coming in.
Oh yeah, no problem, man. It ain't nothing, man. That was a good lesson, though. I'm glad I caught that one. I'm glad I caught that one, man. Yeah, man. What y'all finna get into, though?
All right, so what?
Okay, we got quite a few, y'all.
All right, so let's go through them. That was a good conversation.
It was. So we're gonna have to deal with those people who do that influential part of it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So make sure they know, hey, stop doing that.
So Jeffrey Webb said,
So what you guys are saying is if you give it up, it's no longer rape but consent.
No. People are, y'all are taking, like they taking the fact that we just want you to be responsible for which decision you made. Now I know it's still rape, like it's still rape. We know that, but we just want you to be responsible for. You had two choices and you picked one of them. You chose which one you thought was best for you in the situation. That's all. Yes, it's still rape. Yes, they need to go to jail. Yes, everything else needs to happen exactly how it normally would. We just want you to be responsible for you pick this one instead of the other one. That's all. I know you didn't want it, but that's the one you picked.
When you use the word responsible, it's
No. Just you pick the choice. Regardless of the circumstance, you pick that choice. I know I'm not gonna look at you no different because you chose the one that you thought was best for you, and I get that. But you did choose it though. And we just want you to know that you picked that one instead of that one. That's all. Y'all trying to take it and make it seem like we're trying to make it seem like the person who does these things shouldn't have no type of repercussions. Of, like, they still got to get what's coming to them for their decisions. But at the end of the day, we are responsible for our decisions, period. Outside of whatever the situation is, I decided to go with this one. Now, the reason I decided is because I feel like it'll be better to pop it for pimp other than see my son's head get blowed off. But I decided on that one.
first of all, you can't keep saying
What's wrong? That's what it is, though, yo.
You had to give it up to son.
Does that mean you actually in there performing? That's not that. Like, that's not that. This is literally Stony on set.
You gonna make sure it's the best you ever had,
Give
yo.
son all he need to make sure my son come home.
We don't need him to come back, yo.
When you get home, I want you to be like, he ain't gonna never mess it up again. Cause I gave him all that. Like, on that, man.
You popped it, yo.
okay. Steve said pop it for pimp, laughing. He also said it doesn't exist consciously; it exists subconsciously.
What's that?
No.
Okay, well,
Jackie Gardner said, "Real talk." Jeffrey Webb also said, "Every individual has their own mind. You have to use your own energy and not feel."
Basically saying, like, don't go by your emotion. Like, when them emotions present itself, don't just react to the first one that pop up. Like, settle down. Okay, this the one I'm gonna go with.
Okay, hold on. So before you use it, so it's either emotion or logic, right?
I don't understand. Is there a
I'm
question?
saying-
You just threw that out there. Like, what?
Because you said in situations it's either emotions
Or
or
logic,
logic,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So if a guy is holding Noah at gunpoint and say the only way he's going
You
to let
made the
him
logical
live,
decision that was best for you.
so that's logic and not emotion.
Yeah, that's your decision. You logically made the best decision you thought that would prevail at the time. We just want you to be like, hey, this is the decision that I made.
So in that situation, how do you disguise emotion versus logic?
What do you mean?
Because you're saying it's either two decisions, emotion or logic, and you got two options in there. Me wanting to save Noah, you're saying it's logic. So you're saying if I let him die, that would have been emotion?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So, no. In a situation where you have a decision to make, regardless of whatever decision is, because I feel like we're putting too much emphasis on the outcome. It doesn't matter what the outcome is. What I'm saying is just own the one you picked. That's all. Not that you wanted it. Just own the one you picked.
yeah, we're not saying
We're
you're
not-
not, and I feel like that's more of an emotional
Yeah.
decision. Like you deciding to save Noah is actually emotional, but we're not saying that that's not
You said
okay.
logic, so now I'm like,
We
yeah, we'll talk about
okay.
it.
Yeah, I mean I get it, but I'm saying we're not saying that that's not okay. We're just saying you decided
You
to feel that
decided the
emotion.
one you want to go with.
I mean, would y'all have decided that?
We're not saying your decision is wrong. Why they keep, bro? You keep thinking,
Go ahead.
you keep thinking that we're saying you picked the wrong one. We're not saying that.
Because she's
We're-
still on that.
Yeah.
I had no other choice.
Yeah, bro, I don't care. What we saying is
Take ownership.
take ownership for the one you picked. That's all.
That's all.
Whichever one you pick, it's fine. You pick it. If you come on and be like, man, no, gone. Why? Because I decided to You mean I decided to not pop it for Phil? Like, he go.
I'm a ride for mine, so.
That's fine.
Then pop it as best as you
pop it.
can, yo.
Oh, you pop it like you did for me. That's all we
That's
ask.
all we asking, yo.
Can we get to the
Okay. This is a good one.
Okay. Steve said if that person can't take ownership of their actions, then they will continue to live in the mindset of a suppose only decision.
Correct. Got to take ownership for it. Regardless of what the situation is, it's yours. Just handle yours.
Okay, Sonia said, oh gosh.
What are you doing, baby?
Okay, there we go. It's a long one. She's like, I'm thinking I understand the thinking of the last guy is added. I'm thinking of the kids in foreign terrorist countries that are raised with the mentality to kill. That's what they do because they were taught to think what is right. So then they are not responsible to wait. So then they are not understanding the scripture that says, "Study to show thyself approved, rightfully dividing the word." I believe that mental illness falls under a different category.
Correct. You are correct. I have a perfect question. Wait, everybody stop. Let me get this in, please, before I forget. Okay, everybody answer this. Because we're talking about people teaching people, right? Okay. In school, what does a teacher do? If you fail the test, did the teacher make you fail the test? Or you fail the test? Regardless of what, she can teach her soul. Like she can teach her soul. But when it's time to take the test, whose hand is circling the numbers?
Students.
All I'm asking is to take ownership for that number. That's all.
Right.
If you fail, if you pass, I don't care. Just make sure when you put that pen on that paper, you understand that this is the answer I'm selecting, regardless of what I was taught.
What? No, what?
Because, okay, I get that. But what if the teacher deliberately went through and reviewed the test and said, hey, a cat is an animal. A balloon is an object. And when the questions come up and he circled cat as being an animal and he get it wrong, the teacher told him that.
Y'all listen.
Hold on. Can I ask my question, please? Can I ask my question, please?
It's like we have them and then we lose them. It's like we have them, it's like they gone. We got you, we got
It's
you.
like they haven't.
Oh, hey, they be like, oh yeah, I get that, but what about this?
What?
Okay.
We were just here. So listen, question. Is there something that you were taught as a child that at some point in your life you decided to question it or go against it? Mm-hmm. Everybody has that ability.
That's all we saying.
So we can't keep using the excuse.
We can't keep blaming other people.
Like we can't keep using that excuse that people are stuck in their ways because they're taught to be this way or to live this way. But we can all agree that at some point everybody has the ability to come to a point in their life where they're like, hey, is what I'm being taught really logical, or does it really make sense? And if not, is there a different way, or is there another way opposite of what I've been taught? Now, other people don't do it. There are people that don't do it. There are people who do it. Everybody has that ability. Not everybody accesses it, but we can't keep using that as an excuse as to why we chose to do something. Does that make sense? Say what's on your mind, yo.
Say what you gotta say. We got some comments.
We got a lot of comments.
We gotta get to these comments. Come on. Okay.
So back to what Miss Sonia was saying. She said, watch your teachings and training because in the end you are accountable.
Thank you.
Eve blamed the serpent.
Thank you.
Adam blamed Eve.
Thank you.
But the outcome was spiritual death.
Thank you. We all just take responsibility for the part that you played, which is deciding to do whatever it is.
Right.
Other people are responsible for the influence and the information they gave you. So the teacher needs to be fired for teaching you wrong. But at the end of the day, you still put A instead of B.
Right.
We just want you to be responsible for selecting A. That's all. Everybody gonna get theirs, but you need to be responsible for circling A.
You decided to go with what you were
decided
taught.
to go with what you were taught.
Or you could have made the decision to go against what you were taught.
So that's all. We just want you to understand that you have to get yours.
Jeffrey Webb said each individual has to make their own decisions. Also, one has to use their own energy and not feed off of someone else's energy or from what you have been taught.
You know what I think the problem is? People, they want to acknowledge the part that other people played to cover up the part that they played. So it's kind of like, to
absolve themselves of any blame.
So I don't want to be like, we're going to take it back to the sniper. I'm glad he brought that up. He's correct. From a baby, his uncle probably did teach him kill, and that's fine. I get that. Mm-hmm. The only thing we're asking is the nephew needs to acknowledge, yes, my uncle taught me this, but the uncle don't have screens on my arms, though. Like, I still had to listen to what he said and then decide to pull the trigger. That's all. And and the thing is, the reason a lot of people find it so hard to grasp is because we've gotten so far from it. If we started out with the concept of, yes, you presented information to me, but it's my choice to decide to take it. That's it. We've gotten so far from it to where now when we're trying to bring it back to what it's supposed to be in the first place, it's like, but they did it. I know they did what they did. But you pulled the trigger. Well, that's all I knew. I know that. But did you pull the trigger? Yes. But that's all I was ever taught. I know that. But did you pull the trigger? Yes, I did. But he taught me. I don't care about that. Did you pull the trigger? Well, only thing I knew is that do my hand and pull the trigger. I get that. But did you pull it? Yes. That's all.
Jazz says, hey. She says, hey, guys.
Hey, love.
She should have been here for this one.
And she also says, so I agree that yes, influence is strong, but when it comes down to it, the decision, the choice is completely on that individual.
Let's go, Jazz!
Another thing
Let's go!
No, that's grown Jazz.
That's grown Jazz. Because she would have been out by this one.
Another thing is we give people's influence so
power,
much power,
man.
yo. Like, we don't have to give you, so you just gonna keep the light on? You play bills here is what I'm trying to understand? That's crazy, yo.
Aaron.
That bill gonna be astronomical this month.
Got the ring light going.
Stay on track.
Okay.
My bad. But yeah, people don't realize we don't have to give someone else's influence over us so much power. We need to start learning how to take our power back, take our control back. The less power you give someone's influence over you, the better the outcome, the desired outcome is. That's all I have to say on it.
That's it. Like, we give people I don't care if it was your great grandpa that told you to shoot. Sir, give me a minute, let me think about it. This is gonna be the best decision to make.
Right.
If I do it, you did influence me, but I did decide to take your influence.
Right.
We just want you to own that decision.
It's gonna be tough, bro.
It is. It's hard to swallow this one, especially when they come to children and all these like. But what about this? And all of that is just them trying to throw up situations to justify. Well, the only reason I decided to do it, I don't care why you decided. Acknowledge you decided. That's all I want you to do. Don't matter why you did it. Just acknowledge. Well, yeah, I decided. If I ask you why you decided, you can give me that then. But if I don't ask you that, own up for I decided to do such and such.
I just have a question, just like a scenario.
Say, for instance, we're in a competition right here for like $500,000, right? Monique is a spokesperson, and it's our job to just give her an answer. So when they ask questions, we're the one Googling, we get the answer, and then we give it to her, and she's the one that just got to say it. And say, for instance, we give her the wrong answer, and it costs us $500,000. Who do we blame for that?
Who blame?
Like, for us not winning the money, who do we blame?
And I'm so sorry. I see the problem. Nothing in this video is about blame. Y'all are taking this conversation way too far. We're not looking for who to blame.
We're not, bro.
I'm just saying, like, a lot of people on the video, like, y'all think that we're talking about blaming. We're not talking about blaming. That question is not even involved in what we're discussing. Who decided to take the answers from the other people and then verbally say it? Was it us or was it Monique? That's all we want. Now, the blame game, we can deal with that later. Nothing in this video is about blame. And you did that with the rape. You thinking I was trying to find out who's responsible for the decision you made or who's to blame. This is not about blame. Nothing about this video is about who to blame for your situation. We're stopping at I decided. That's it. Just remove. You made me and put. I decided.
Ain't nobody blaming you.
We don't care nothing about blame, right? She's still on that. Like, oh, you think I'm gonna pop it now? Like, I don't care. We're not trying to blame. We're not looking for nobody to blame.
So nobody won't know what to die. So.
Right. We don't want no other. Yeah.
I can just slap him.
So listen, y'all. This video has nothing to do with us trying to pinpoint a blame. This video is specifically about the decision part of it. Regardless of what you was taught, regardless of the circumstance or the situation, we're not looking for whose fault it is for your reaction. We just want the person that decided to perform the action to be able to say, I decided. Now, the reason you decided, that's a different video. That's not this video. The reason is a different video, and we can deal with blame on that. But this video is specifically for the decision. That is all.
Comments.
Okay, Miss Sonia said, even in the court system, the accomplice gets a lesser sentence, but he does get a sentence.
That's it, and that's the thing. The sentence part of it is where they factor in the blame. But the initial, you still going to jail, that's the part we're dealing with because you still decided to do what you did. The blame is a different topic.
Jeffrey Webb said, we are individually responsible for our own actions in this life, and when we stand before God, and God can no one else take responsibility for our actions because they have to take responsibility for their own actions.
On you, bro.
LaTracy said, this is so deep, it has happened to so many of us women. Steve said, running into the fire. I guess he back to the other comment.
Yeah, the conversation about the hospital.
Sonia said, I'm a teacher. She said, finish listening to my comment. And I was going to, but y'all
I'm sorry, go back. Yeah,
no, we did.
Okay.
I tell my students this all the time. You study. Oh, Miss Sonia said that. Sorry. Steve says, so it's a child's decision to run in the road, though they are ignorant of danger, and it's the parents' responsibility to keep them out the road. They are being held for responsibility and not that decision. What does he mean?
I think he was dealing with. See, I think people are still trying to find a blame portion. Yes, a child running into the road is a foolish decision, but that's still a decision. And we just want people to pull the decision part out. That's all. Everything else, like the child do, the parents need to be responsible. They need to go to jail or DHS need to come get them, whatever. All that still can happen. We just want the decision to be a parent. Like she's still thinking about pimp. Like, bro, I ain't want to do it. I don't want to do this.
So
We know you don't want to, but you decided though.
anything is a decision. Is that what you're saying?
Unless someone implants some kind of strings in you,
Device
and
that
it's
make
like
you do it. Yeah, everything is a decision. That's really all we're saying.
So
Unless there's some robotic device where I can legitimately control you, at the end of the day, it's a decision.
So when a baby has eaten too much and they throwing up their milk, that's a decision? I'm asking a question.
I don't even know what.
When a baby throws up, is that a decision?
That's a natural body response. We're not talking about that.
You said anything is a decision.
Okay. Anything.
why are you trying to
You
take
trying
what
to-
he's doing away?
Are you trying to?
Yes, you
No,
if
bruh.
a baby running the road is still a decision. Okay, like
That's something they have
That's
control
something-
over.
that- okay, so at some point, that baby was sitting there and was like, oh, let me take off running. He still decided to run. We're
let's-
not saying it's right.
So let's say this.
He decided to run.
So let's say this.
He decided to
Hold on.
run.
So let's say this. Anything you have control over is a decision. Everything outside of your control, it is no longer your decision.
I
at that
word it
point.
different. Anything that you have more than one option. Matter of fact, I ain't gonna say it. Anything that you have an option with is a decision. So at any point, if an option is available, it's a decision. So would that apply? Think of something, and we'll see if this logic works throughout history. Anything that has an option is a decision.
okay.
Give me some.
I mean, it can be anything.
That's the point. That's the point. If there's an option, it has to be a decision made. That's all we're saying. She said it could be anything. Motherfucker.
Do the comments a little.
And Sonia says, so goes the spiritual, so goes the natural. I teach school and I preach, I feel you.
Exactly. Because initially, that spiritual is that inner thing. Like, it has to be an inner decision made before the reaction is done. And we just want you to acknowledge that I did this reaction. That's it.
You don't need to make a comment after
You should have saw her face, yo. Son, did you see her face though? Look, she was like, okay, Adrian, we get it. We understand.
Bro, y'all ain't trying to feel something.
You piggyback on every
Because it's like we have y'all, but then it's like, oh, come on, let's save them. We almost had them.
Hey, it's a good hey, no, it's a good
Keep going, bro. Keep going.
Steve says, slavery was a choice, Kanye voice. Y'all
No. Just keep going. That's gonna take another 2 hours, yo.
Let's go with that. Yeezy snap, yo. So Yeezy didn't snap. Snap my phone didn't like, bro. Yeezy snap, so he didn't snap.
Son, it's gonna take another 2 hours though, yo.
Go sit, bruh.
I'm done. I'm out.
LaTracy
Why
said,
you going for the book?
my son likes your Kool-Aid shirt.
Hey, oh, shout out.
I am not doing this video with y'all.
Steve also says, Shay better not pop none for pimp. If he dies, he dies. Drago voice.
Keep going.
Better use that 380 first. And then that's it.
That's all the comments.
Exactly not.
Oh my
I
goodness.
think this is a good place to end it. Basically, so what are we taking from? Oh, another one.
Miss Sonia said, I'm gonna leave y'all alone. I just fell in love with Adrian from his Leandria book
Oh, thank
video.
you, darling.
and I try and follow. Love to see
I
young,
really appreciate it.
love to see young people loving the Lord. Hang in there, Swanee. You got this, girl. You are a supportive, beautiful
Sound like
wife.
I'm a problem.
Like, you got it, girl.
Like,
I know he
you're
difficult.
wrong,
But
you
just
can
hang
do
it.
it.
Stick with him. All right,
Get
so
there.
what are we taking away from this conversation? What have you taken away from this?
Ownership.
Thank you. That's it, bro.
What about you?
Ownership for our own actions.
By all means, I'm gonna save my son's life.
But ain't nobody mad at that, yo.
No, I'm being funny. I mean, yeah. I'm going to take ownership and think about my reaction before I do it next time. And if a gunman comes at me with rape, I'm gonna say no fight.
We fine. We good with that. It's cool.
You gonna pop that?
We gonna pop it, bro. It's cool. What kind of people you gonna pop it, bro?
No.
I'm gonna pop that.
I'm gonna save my son.
And will.
That's fine, bro. We cool with that. We
Ain't nobody
cool.
mad, yo.
We ain't mad.
That's your decision,
That's your
son.
decision.
All right, well, this.
Come here, baby. Come here. Let the people see who
There's
we're
more
saving.
comments. Brittany Thomas said, "Hey y'all, I'm just tuning in. What I missed."
Ooh, baby,
Everything.
You got to go back
Roll back the tape.
We had guests and everything.
Okay, Jazz also says society has rooted in people that if you are influenced to do something you know is wrong, then you will not be responsible. So it will be hard to understand accountability and hard for the mindset to change.
Correct. You are absolutely correct. It's ooh,
We know.
difficult.
Shay said, "Love y'all." Love you, sis.
All right, so we're gonna leave it right here. Moral of the story: be accountable. Yeah, be accountable for the decisions you make. Stop trying to blame others or try to cover up, what you decided to do to make yourself feel better. So, but we're gonna leave it right here. Probably gonna revisit this at another time or a later time, part 2. I know today we did this on a Sunday, but again, we usually go live on Saturday. So try to catch us. Probably not gonna get it next
the way
week.
our job set up.
Yeah.
Might be on Sunday next week too.
So.
Next Sunday we'll be here again.
Right. So try to catch us anytime next week or look out for us. We'll be coming at you with another topic. Adrian will probably be posting what our next topic will be, so be on the lookout for that. Thank you all for joining and commenting. Shout out to, was it Melvin? Did you call him Papoose? Shout out to Melvin for joining us as well for the great. Miss Sonya for the comments. Anybody else who provided
everybody,
insight?
everybody who commented.
It's a hot topic.
No, oh, this
This
is
is
the
who she
guy.
gonna pop
Yeah,
it for.
this is who she gonna
This
be
is
popping
who she
it for
gonna pop
right
it
here.
Mommy will pop it for pimp for you, okay?
Hey, there we go.
Thank you. Thank you for deciding to pop it, Mom.
All right, everybody say goodbye to your future selves.
Goodbye.
One day we'll look back on this and wonder why we was like this on the first place.